Okay, so get this. Today we're diving headfirst into AI, and let me tell you, things are moving crazy fast.
Yeah, no
We're
kidding.
talking Google, OpenAI, the whole shebang. And trust me, these guys are not messing around.
What's really got me hooked is how they're both kind of running this AI race, right?
Right.
But they're taking totally different paths to get there, which I think is super interesting.
It's like they're both trying to reach the top of the AI mountain, but one's rock climbing and the other's building a rocket ship.
Exactly.
And speaking of rocket ships, did you see Google's announcement about Gemini 1.5 Flash 8B?
Oh, yeah, that caught my eye.
It sounds like something straight out of Star Trek, but for developers building AI apps, this is a game changer.
Totally. Cost has always been this massive roadblock in AI, like trying to build a skyscraper with toothpicks and glue.
Right, it's been a huge barrier to entry.
But Google's basically saying, hold my metaphorical beer.
Haha, right. They're calling it the lowest cost per intelligence of any Gemini model. And get this, to use it, you're looking at a price tag of 0.0375 for every million characters you feed into the system for shorter prompts.
Seriously, that's insane.
I know. It's like translating a whole book for the price of a cup of coffee.
That's the kind of change that can completely shake things up. This could be huge for smaller companies, startups, the little guys who couldn't even dream of touching this kind of tech before.
It's like leveling the playing field, giving everyone a shot at building the future of AI. And it's not just about the price tag either, right? Google is also making a big deal about Flash 8B being way faster and more efficient.
Oh, for sure. Speed is everything in the tech world.
They even doubled the rate limits. So now developers can send up to 4,000 requests per minute.
Wow, so you're saying it's like the difference between waiting for dial-up internet and having lightning-fast broadband.
Exactly. It's all about a smoother, more responsive user experience. And let's not forget Google's recent move to put ads in AI overviews.
Right. I see what they're doing. They're playing the long game.
They know if they can get more developers hooked on their platform, that's where the real gold mine is.
It's brilliant, really. If their tech is powering all these new AI applications, well, let's just say they're in a good position.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
Now, OpenAI is taking a different approach, but it's equally exciting. Have you heard about their new thing called Canvas?
Oh, yeah, Canvas is super cool. It's all about collaboration.
That's the thing about OpenAI. They're not just trying to replace humans with AI.
No, not at all.
They're looking for ways for AI to work with us, like this whole idea of having a super-powered writing or coding partner right there with you.
It's like having a brainstorming buddy who also happens to be a grammar guru and a coding ninja.
Exactly. And the tech behind it is seriously impressive.
Yeah.
They trained their GPT-4o model to actually understand the context of your work, like whether you need a full-blown rewrite or just a quick tweak.
It's amazing how much detail they put into it. And you know what else I find interesting? They're actually being pretty open about their training data.
Yeah, the transparency thing.
It's refreshing, especially in a field where things can feel kind of secretive sometimes.
Like a black box. You know?
Nah, exactly. But with OpenAI, it feels like they're trying to build trust with the community. Like, hey, we're all in this together. Let's figure out this AI thing.
Transparency is definitely a good thing, especially as AI becomes more powerful and integrated into our lives. But before we get too deep into that, there's one more article I want to touch on. Remember that one about Fourier, the robotics company out of China?
Oh, yeah. The one with the humanoid robot?
Yeah, GR2, they're calling it.
That's where things start to feel like we stepped into a sci-fi movie.
Right. We've been talking about AI's brain, but Fourier's over here giving it a body.
And not just anybody, a really, really human-like one.
Okay, so get this. GR2 has hands with 12 degrees of freedom. That's double what their last robot had.
Whoa, seriously.
They're saying it can sense pressure, identify objects by touch, even adjust its grip on the fly. It's wild.
It's mind-blowing how fast robotics is advancing. And it makes you think about all the possibilities. Like, what if robots could work alongside humans in all sorts of fields?
Healthcare, manufacturing, even just everyday life. Imagine having a robot that could help you with chores or assist with delicate tasks.
You're talking about a whole new level of human-robot interaction. It's pretty exciting stuff.
I mean, it's one thing to see these robots in movies, but to think they're actually being developed right now, it's crazy.
Totally. And it really changes the game. We've always talked about AI as this competitor, but what Fourier is doing with GR2, it points to a different future.
Yeah, where humans and robots aren't fighting for dominance,
Yeah.
but actually working together.
Exactly. It's more like, how can we combine our strengths to achieve something bigger than either of us could alone?
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Humans have their unique skills and robots have theirs.
For sure. It's about finding that sweet spot where we complement each other.
And who knows what incredible things we could accomplish together.
No doubt. But of course, with all this talk about human-robot collaboration.
We've got to ask the tough questions, right?
Oh, absolutely. What happens when these super dexterous robots become more common? What does it mean for jobs, for the economy?
It's like we're stepping into uncharted territory.
We are, and it's essential to have these conversations now to think about the potential impact on society as a whole.
Right. And it's not just about the robots themselves, but also the AI that drives them.
Totally. The algorithms, the decision-making processes, those are crucial aspects to consider as well.
Yeah, because ultimately it's about ensuring that AI is used ethically and responsibly.
Absolutely. We need those guidelines, those frameworks in place to guide us as we move forward.
To make sure this technology is used for good.
Exactly. For the betterment of humanity, not to create new problems.
Which brings me back to something you mentioned earlier about Google and those ads in AI overviews.
Ah, yes.
It makes you wonder, how will this change the way we search for information? Will we even notice it?
It's a valid question, and it speaks to this broader issue of how AI is becoming a business, a way to generate revenue.
Right, because Google's not just developing this technology for the fun of it.
No, they're investing heavily in it, and they're looking for ways to make it profitable.
Which, from a business perspective, makes total sense.
Of course. But it also raises concerns about data privacy, algorithmic bias.
Oh, for sure. How do we make sure these AI systems are fair and don't perpetuate existing inequalities?
It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but it's something we need to be talking about.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's recap for a second. We've talked about Google making AI more accessible, OpenAI focusing on collaboration, and Fourier creating incredibly advanced robots.
We've covered a lot of ground.
What's the common thread here? What ties all these developments together?
To me, it's all about accessibility, making this powerful technology available to more people.
So instead of AI being this exclusive club for tech giants.
Exactly. It's becoming more inclusive, more democratized.
Which is exciting, but also a bit daunting, right?
Yeah.
We're on the cusp of something huge.
Absolutely. We're standing at the edge of a new frontier, and it's up to us to explore it responsibly.
To ask the tough questions, to consider the implications.
And to shape a future where AI empowers us all.
You know, it's funny, we've talked about AI that can write and translate, even build things with us.
Right.
But what about AI that actually thinks like us, learns like us?
Ah, you're talking about artificial general intelligence?
AGI,
Yeah.
It feels like every time I hear about it, I'm one step closer to living in a sci-fi novel.
It definitely gets the imagination going, that's for sure.
One of the articles you shared mentioned AGI, and honestly, it kind of freaks me out a little.
I get it. It's a big concept.
It's like we're talking about creating something that's as smart as we are, maybe even smarter.
And that brings up all sorts of questions, ethical dilemmas.
Exactly. Like, what does it even mean for something to be intelligent like a human?
It's a question philosophers have been wrestling with for centuries, and now it's becoming a real technological challenge.
And honestly, are we even close to figuring it out? Creating AGI, I mean.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Some experts say we're still decades away, maybe even centuries.
Wow, centuries.
Yeah, they believe it'll take breakthroughs in areas we're just beginning to understand, like how the human brain really works.
So, like, we need to crack the code of consciousness first.
In a way, yeah. Others think it might involve completely new approaches to AI, ways of computing that we haven't even thought of yet.
That's kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it.
It is. It's like trying to imagine a color you've never seen before.
But for now, let's come back down to earth for a minute.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the exciting potential of AI, but there's also this flip side, right?
Of course, every coin has two sides.
The unintended consequences, the potential downsides.
It's like with every step forward in AI, there's this shadow following close behind.
Exactly. Like, what if we create something we can't control?
It's a valid concern, and it's why ethical considerations are so crucial in AI development.
So how do we balance this then? The drive to innovate with the need to be responsible.
That's the tightrope we're walking, and it requires a constant conversation.
Between the scientists, the policymakers, the public.
Exactly. We need diverse voices at the table to make sure AI is developed and used in a way that benefits everyone.
So it's not just about what we can do, but what we should do.
Precisely. And that's a conversation that needs to happen across disciplines, across cultures, across borders.
It's a lot to consider, that's for sure.
It is, but that's the nature of exploring uncharted territory, right?
That's a good point. A little scary, but exciting too.
Exactly. And ultimately, I'm optimistic.
Or war.
I believe that if we approach AI with a sense of responsibility and collaboration, we can navigate these challenges.
And hopefully create a future where AI helps us solve problems, not create new ones.
That's the goal, isn't it?
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. It's been fascinating exploring the world of AI with you, from the race, to make it more accessible to the ethical questions it raises.
The pleasure was all mine. It's these kinds of conversations that I live for.
Me too. Me too. And for those of you listening, keep asking those questions. Keep exploring.
Stay curious.
Because the world of AI is constantly evolving, and who knows what amazing discoveries await us just around the corner.
I can't wait to find out.
Me neither. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll catch you next time.